Go. Hey, good afternoon, everybody, on this beautiful September
7th,
weekend.
maybe.
And yeah, I think this is Happy Grandparents' Day today.
Oh, right.
So happy grandparents to all of you who share in that wonderful joy that we have. And today, Barry's got the brainwave. So I'm going to take it over to the man with the brainwave.
Some of you whom we know have heard this story before, but what you haven't heard is the application. And it is related to a grandchild, so that makes perfect sense. But before I get into that, just FYI that we've made a YouTube channel for Ugly Couch, and you will see from now on, if we remember, that it will be a link to YouTube. We're hoping that you'll spread the word if you're enjoying these Ugly Couch commentaries, sessions, whatever you want to call them, that you'll spread the word to family, friends, and beyond. And we're hoping maybe the YouTube will do that as well, because we believe everybody should have a chance to hear the good news of the gospel and learn more about what it means to be a follower of Christ. So, some of you may know, and others won't, that our 11-year-old grandson Charlie, when he was 8, helped me as a beta reader for my second kids book, The Not-So-True Adventures of Bran and Josh and Adam. And one of his illustrations actually made its way, after it was tweaked by the artist, into the book. And Charlie now gets, of course, a toonie, because he negotiated for every book sold. I've been working on the third book, and when we were away at the cottage, I had a chance to work on more chapters. When we came back, the week that we had all 3 grandchildren, Charlie and his 2 siblings, Ben and Sawyer, over for the entire week, I said to Charlie, buddy, I've printed out the chapters. If you want to take a look at them and see what you think, I did some improvements for the first chapter. I know you've read it, but maybe you could read it again. Don't feel any pressure, but feel free to do that if you want. And then one night after I came home from an appointment, Charlie was on the couch, his siblings were in bed. He had all the chapters that were printed out spread across the couch in front of him, pen in hand, and I said, Charlie, what are you doing, buddy? He's like, well, Grandpa.
He's an editor.
I read the first chapter, and I've corrected your spelling mistakes, and I fixed your grammar. Oh, thanks, Charlie. And there were the other chapters were okay, but there were some places where things didn't quite make sense, so I wrote my questions in the margin. And then there were other places where I thought of ways you could improve the story. So I also wrote those ideas down for you in the margin too. I said, Charlie, are we co-authoring this together? He's like, yeah, I guess so. And are you going to want money for this? Yes. So there you go.
He's a negotiator.
He is, definitely. However, there's an application that I thought of after that comes out of this. Because sometimes God helps us by writing commentary in the margins of our lives. Sometimes because we don't always get it right, and we freely admit that, and we need him, and we need his forgiveness and his guidance and his direction. He needs to, so to speak, correct our spelling mistakes, fix our grammar a little. And other times, perhaps when we're trying to understand things that aren't making sense, he may be writing some answers in the margins for us if we're paying attention. Or at least saying, hey, don't forget, I'm here, even though things don't make sense right now. I'm overseeing everything. And there are times when, because we kind of take the pen or pencil in hand and want to write our own story, and it gets messy, that God comes along and says, hey, I've got some ideas about how we can improve your story together. Because Jesus, remember, is co-authoring our life story together. That's what he would like us to do. He doesn't do it just for us. He also does it with us through the power of the Holy Spirit. So sometimes we just need to pay attention and see what God and how God is speaking to us in the margins of our life. Because who better than him to give us some ideas of how to improve our story, the story that we're living out with him. Hope that makes sense. What do you think?
Yeah, I got this really cool thought as you were talking. Is that when I was a kid at school, I liked to doodle in the margins. And I used to fill them up with all the stuff that really wasn't relevant to the class. Maybe the challenge is to keep those margins clean so God has a place to write.
That's a great idea. So as you move forward through this week, pay attention to what God may be writing or suggesting in the margins of your lives. Thanks, everybody. God bless.
Have a great day.
See you next Sunday.